He has to pull out the bones from the river 3 times a day to make soup for himself. But today, no matter how hard he tries, he can't pull them out. The water weed on his body kept growing more and more. Soon, it spread throughout the entire village. Their bodies were covered in viruses resembling plant spores. Ordinary doctors had never heard of such symptoms. They had no choice but to call in the insect master Ginkgo for help. Ginkgo knew this must be related to the insect monsters. He wanted to know if anything unusual had happened in the village recently. However, what the village chief said next completely shocked Ginkgo. It turned out that there had always been an unwritten custom in the village. That was to place the bodies of the deceased into the mountains, and after 7 days, the bodies will be completely taken away by the mountains, leaving only a set of clothes as proof of their existence. During these 7 days, no villagers are allowed to enter the mountain. The village chief believes that someone must have violated the ancestral teachings, and that is why the mountain has sent down its punishment. However, Ginkgo knows the truth is not so simple. This is actually a creature called a skeleton grass. They feed on decaying corpses. They often hide in dark swamps. Once stepped on by humans, they parasitize on their feet, madly sucking the life force from their hosts, then spreading throughout every corner of the village. In short, this insect monster is even more terrifying than a vampire. Ginkgo quickly concocted a potion, which, when applied to the spore's body, caused it to quickly fall off. The villagers finally saw hope, but no one noticed the little boy with a worried expression in the crowd. Ginkgo followed the trail to eliminate the insect monsters. A little salt was enough to disperse the skeleton grass, but the moment Ginkgo turned around, the little boy was already standing in front of him. Ginkgo thought he had come to ask for medicine, so he also planned to help him clear it away. But the boy wanted Ginkgo to save his uncle, who was on the brink of death. However, the source of all the disasters was hidden in this house. The boy's uncle was already terminally ill. Even applying more medicine would be of no use. In order to survive, the man finally revealed the truth. It turned out that he and the boy had secretly violated the ancestral teachings. Within the 7 days following the boy's father's death, they wanted to see the truth behind the corpse returning to the mountains. But when they arrived at the scene, the boy's father had already been devoured by the skeleton grass. Yet the boy had been in the most direct contact with the skeletal grass. How could his uncle's condition be worse than the child's? Ginkgo thought of another possibility. Because the skeletal grass prefers to grow near corpses, the man must have also come into contact with a corpse, and for a longer period of time than the boy. When asked how his brother died, the man only stammered that he had fallen off a cliff and died. Since the lead had been cut off, Ginkgo could only start with the young boy. It turned out that the two brothers had always helped and respected each other since childhood, which led to the two families we have today. But one day, the older brother suddenly cut off contact with his younger brother. Shortly thereafter, the boy's father died unexpectedly. With no one to care for him, the boy temporarily stayed at his uncle's house. Meanwhile, the man had a nightmare. In the dream, he was the murderer who killed his brother. And behind all this tragedy was that the brother had accidentally killed his daughter. The older brother wanted to escape suspicion, so he fabricated the illusion that the mountain god had taken the girl back to the mountain, and the man gradually came to believe it. But unable to bear the guilt, the older brother still confessed the truth to his younger brother. Though he watched his brother constantly repent, the man still raised the stone and sent his brother to his death, and did the same, throwing his brother off the cliff, faking it as a natural death. Finally, he was also sent into the embrace of the mountain god. At first, the man was smug, but as time went on, the man was increasingly awakened by nightmares, always thinking his brother had come back to claim his life. He stayed here for several days. Ginkgo had already figured out the truth. He found the man alone and warned him to clean the stench of death off his body right away. Otherwise, the bone grass would soon begin to corrode his nerves. Their family affairs are none of Ginkgo's business. Whether or not to wash his body is entirely up to the man himself. As the atmosphere between them grew increasingly tense, they didn't notice the boy standing outside the door the whole time. The man eventually listened to Ginkgo's words and prepared to wash his body in the river. But as he turned around, the boy suddenly appeared behind him and demanded to know why he had killed his father. Watching his nephew's questioning, the man panicked for the first time. He leaned on his cane and stepped closer to the boy. He knew the principle of nurturing a tiger only to be devoured by it. If he didn't eliminate it now, it might be himself who suffers in the future. Just as he was about to grab the boy, the man slipped and fell into the river. He shouted for help. Perhaps this was karma, born from the earth, ending in the waves. No one mentioned the man's fate again, and not long after leaving, Ginkgo also saw the skeletal grass reappear downstream.